Hi there. Um, I'm really bad at these sorts of things, but my name's Zell, and I am a tarot reader. This reading is kind of strange because I wasn't exactly recording it to be released. I was just kind of practicing doing some collective reading because I was planning on posting these sorts of videos and whatnot. I just wasn't planning on starting yet, but in the couple days since I recorded this, I kept having the urge, kept being called to release this specific one as the first one for whatever reason. So I am just recording a little intro for it to kind of give you an idea of who I am, and I'll do a more in-depth, better intro, a more formal video for the next one I post. But yeah, I hope you enjoy. I felt inspired to do a little collective reading again. Like I was saying, I don't really know why, but I'm just feeling like I know it's been true for me, and I feel like it's bigger than that. It's the time that we're in. Anyhow, I've been feeling a little bit of just uncertainty is perhaps not exactly the right word for it, but it is uncertainty. I just feel like I'm floating a little bit in this, like, it's not even the void space anymore. It's like something, it's like I'm out of the void. It's like the waiting room before you go into the whatever, and it feels like this energy is a bit bigger than just me. It feels like we're all kind of sitting on the edge of something, like we're all waiting with bated breath for something that's about to happen, and like no one really knows what that is. So I'm just going to get into that a little. I feel like this is going to be a little bit of a microcosm, macrocosm kind of situation here, where it's like, this is a personal theme in all of our lives, but it's also a bigger global theme, a universal theme, arguably, even. And I just want to kind of tease out that energy a little bit further. Oh my gosh. So, that being said, let's just get... Oh, this is not going well. There we go. Let's just get started with this, because my microphone is not wanting to stay in place, so I'm going to stop fumbling with it. Okay. Are we doing reversals is the question. No. Okay. Okay, what is this energy that I'm feeling? Let's just get a few cards out to kind of orient us within it. What is this energy that I'm feeling collectively? It's a bit of uncertainty, but anticipation. First card out is Five of Swords. I get a couple more before I speculate. The Empress. Okay. Interesting. It's too many. King of Swords. All right. this is screaming battle between the old ways and the new ways. To me, the only thing that would have been like maybe a little bit more pointedly that would have been if the Emperor came out. But even then, the Emperor, if we're not doing reversals, well, I mean, the reversal's contained within, but the Emperor's a good ruler, but the King of Swords can be quite cutting, cold, fiercely logical, no heart, all head. No warmth, just cutting, biting, intellect, logic, cold logic. We're talking, really, really classic, toxically masculine traits, as opposed to the Empress also being out here with all of those really classical, feminine, and motherly even traits. Nurturing, compassionate, hearted, and the Five of Swords between them indicates there's a certain battle or tension going on between these two polar energies, which I think it almost feels a little redundant to say at this point, like, the old world is dying, the new one has yet to be born, we're all in kind of an in-between space. Really feeling pulled, like, between, like, do I work harder, push harder, be fiercely logical, like, cut off all of my emotions and just really live my life in my head, or the complete opposite? Do I surrender to flow, draw things to me? Don't put in the effort, because obviously it's a lot of effort to become the Empress, but it's like that magnetism as opposed to a penetrative, forward-moving, fast-moving, logical kind of energy. It's a drawing one in. Ten of Swords. Yeah. So, definitely we've been in this era of the mind, smarts, intelligence, fiercely cold logic, hard facts for, like, since the Industrial Revolution, all of human history, not all of human history, but all of modern history for the most part, like, anything that any of us are going to remember or know, we've been in really swords energy as opposed to, say, like, hearts energy, right? Or even, like, there's always, everything has all four ultimately, but it's like really, we've put science and scientific method and discoveries as, like, first and foremost. And it's not that those things aren't important, because they absolutely are. But they're certainly not the be-all and end-all of discovery, knowledge, wisdom, the human experience, the world, the universe, any of that stuff. And it seems to me, and, swords at their best are about, emotional control, intellect, cunning intellect, but, like, not necessarily being mean or cold about it. But certainly the Ten of Swords speaks of the darker sides of swords most of the time, or at least the less enjoyable, the less soft side of swords most of the time. But the other thing about it is that it is the end, right? It's the end of that. It's like you've been through the worst. You've been through the betrayal. And, if we're talking about microcosm, macrocosm relationships, kind of what came to me at the beginning there is, like, we're a lot of people I know, people I've seen talking on the internet, things like that, have been, it really seems like we're leaning more into this, like, more compassionate, empathetic side of us. But, like, it's coming from a place of hurt. Like, we're all so, like, okay, I mean, I'm sure there's people on the planet who are not traumatized. I mean, I don't even know if that's true, because even, like, rich, comfortable people are traumatized in their own right. But the way that we've all been living, the way our society is set up, has really been, like, honestly a betrayal of our nature. And, like, as humans, as social creatures that need to, work together, community, tribal history of caring for each other and all of that, we've really been betraying our own natures. This fierce individualism that is, like, central to our entire society is killing all of us. That's everybody's sad, everybody's sick, even if they're not, like, the sickest and saddest. Like, even the quote unquote healthy, not depressed people are not happy like they were, even, like, and we're in, some of the most privileged places on earth right now. So, as bad as it is for us, it's, that's still pretty good. We're still probably some of the happiest people on the planet. And, yeah, so, I mean, the Ten of Swords is really relevant here because, like, we have been going through the gauntlet, like, as a species, as a collective consciousness. It's been nothing but just, like, it's for anyone in touch with their nature, with just, I don't know how to say it without sounding hokey, but, like, the frequency of love. It's been painful. It's been wildly painful. Like, I've been distraught by this my whole life, basically. And I know there's lots of other people that feel the same way I do. But I think it's really relevant, and I think it's really important to consider here that this conflict is coming to an end. And, like, I'm not, like, super good at astrology, but I do watch a lot of astrology. I'm interested in astrology. I just honestly have the worst memory on the planet, so I can never really remember what's going on or what things mean. I have a bit of an interest in astrology, and I have for a while, so I have a bit of a grasp on, like, certain things, but, like, I can't remember everything. But I do know we have, like, several things coming up. Lunar New Year is on the 16th, as well as an eclipse. And there's just all being, like, the Neptune in Aries, and I think Saturn's in Aries as well. Like I say, I do know some things, but these are all big shifts that have happened in the last, like, month, or are coming up in the next week or two. And they're all really pivotal, on top of, like, the Pluto return of the United States that started 2 years ago. Like, the astrology has been mounting to, like, historic and pivotal levels for, like, the last several years. And, like, you can see it all around you. And, like, this is true on a personal level as well. I think that, especially those who are tuned in and, like, that are on this wavelength, I guess, shall we say, I'm sure you've been seeing, like, this bigger global shift mirrored in your smaller, more personal relationships as well. Hence, microcosm, macrocosm, as above, so below, as within, so without. Like, it's to be expected. It's kind of the way things work, right? But, like, I think that there's some wisdom in there, in that, like, I know, anyhow, sometimes when I think about the true scale of the problem, ultimately the problem, we'll call it, but the many problems, I get really overwhelmed. like, how do you do anything, especially like as an individual person, especially just like, you know, I don't have much money, I'm just some person, you know, and I love so hard and so big with my whole heart, and I want so badly for just to not be the way things are. Damn it, I just lost my train of thought a bit. Oh, yes, I want so badly for this to not be how things are. I get so overwhelmed and I become immobilized, and like that's not necessarily helping anybody. And you know, I don't necessarily know what the answer is. I've done a lot of different things in my days. I've really, I've felt it was my place and my job for a long time as someone who was in this camp to try to spread awareness, talk about it with people, bring people over to my side. And like, it is to an extent all of our jobs to do that, but I don't know, a lot of the methods I've used and a lot of the methods that I've seen other people using, I think are probably ineffective. So I think something that's relevant here is, because I was talking about microcosm, macrocosm relationships to start, and I think that's kind of like the whole theme of this reading is like, I know people say a lot, like, heal yourself to heal the world. And it's like, it's a little bit that, but it's a little bit more, I guess it's just more specific than that, or like more nitty gritty than that. It's like, I don't even know if that's a way to say anything, but it's like, it's not just being like, do your inner work and that will just heal the world. It is like, okay, well, what approach did you take to yourself to get through that thing, or to the people around you, directly around you? Like, what were the actual literal details and actions you took to solve that problem in your own life? And how can that be applied on a bigger scale to solve this problem on a bigger scale? Because like, the thing, it goes back and forth, right? Like, people who are living in this world and this society that is run this way are going to reenact that. And so a lot of our personal relationships ultimately are being fucked with by the same, or whatever, being messed with by the same structures. And they're going to have the same effects. It's going to be like, people are being forced to react from places of fear, and they are going to react in really similar ways because it's the same driving energy behind what's making everyone afraid, both on a global scale and a more personal scale. So there's a lot of value, I think, in taking a step back. If you're feeling overwhelmed by the world, taking a step back and being like, okay, when I was feeling a similar energy or situation in my life, like, how did I deal with that? What did I do to deal with that? And is there a way that I can apply that? And like, I don't necessarily think it's going to be that like black and white and clean cut across the board. Like, I don't think that there's going to be like, there's not always going to be a way that you can apply it, right? But it's like, it goes the other way too. Like, maybe you're going through a personal relationship and there's a lot of like interpersonal stuff, or there's a lot of nuance that makes it feel more complicated or harder to wrap your head around, like, what the right thing, or not even the right thing, but the right thing for you to do is in this situation, how you should handle it, or even what would be effective. You could potentially look at a bigger scale issue that kind of has the same energy or same themes, maybe we'll say, in it or around it or running through it. It could give you inspiration for how to handle it yourself. So, but across the board here, it would say the advice is like less with a fiercely logical, less that like really classical quote unquote masculine energy kind of traits, and leaning more into your empathy, your heart, your emotions, your nurturing, caring side to handle things, because we are moving out of an era where facts don't care about your feelings. Facts really do care about your feelings. In fact, the entire universe is bent by our perceptions, so facts care a lot about your feelings. Your feelings can certainly obfuscate and bend facts. That's kind of like always been true, even about that phrase, right? Because, you know, people who say that, people who felt, you know, that way, like their feelings are ultimately what's dictating the facts in that moment. They just have a dominant role or a like privileged position or something in society. They've got a little bit of authority. Their position seems neutral, even though it is absolutely their own biased opinion, often a very emotional one, because they don't see their emotions as emotions. They see them as just the logical truth. And so it ends up, you know, it's all just kind of been an illusion to begin with. Like, we're humans. We're very emotional creatures. I guess it's just like deciding whose swords are invisible, or whose cups are invisible, whose cups get to be viewed as neutral swords, ultimately, if that makes sense for anyone. That was a lot from just those 4 cards. What am I curious about here in regard to this? What are we all waiting for? What is coming next? What is this energy that feels like everything's about to shift? It's this battle between, Wheel of Fortune wanted to come out, but I don't know, it does want to come out. Okay. Well, everything's turning around. The tables are turning. Those who have been on top will be on bottom, and those who have been on bottom will be on top, ultimately, in a lot of ways. Because we're not reading reversals, both energies could be potentially present here. But I think, from my own perspective and talking to the collective of people this is definitely directed towards, people like us have not been on the top of the wheel. Like, we've been making the best of maybe what we have. We know how to find joy. We know how to self-soothe. We know how to take care of each other and ourselves. And that's all fine and dandy. But society has not been slanted in our favor. And the same can be true on a personal level. Like, while you may have been surviving and in some cases even thriving in the circumstances that you've been handed, the circumstances could be better. The circumstances could make it easier. There could be more empathy. There could be more empathy and care in the world, but there hasn't been. So no matter how well you've done or how happy you've been within that context, if the context was changed, what would you be capable of? And I just split the deck to the 10 of coins. So I ask again, no matter how much you've been thriving or happy or joyous or making the best out of the situation that we've all found ourselves in, what could you do with a different context that was more favorable to you, your needs? Because I know the answer for myself is a lot. I mean, there's been a lot going on in my life lately. I'm not going to get into details, but basically, in the last 2 months, every single thing that I've known about, like, everything that was familiar and comforting about my life, has fallen apart. And it was the best thing. It is the best thing for me. I'm not necessarily in the greatest place about it right now. But my old situation, environment, people around me, were literally making me ill. I'm not ill now. But it's been only a couple weeks, really, since I was able to completely remove myself from that environment and move into a new context. And, like, I'm still settling in. I'm still figuring out everything. Still figuring out myself. But I feel like the possibilities are so much greater and so much more endless than they were even just a few weeks ago. Because the context is different. The context is so incredibly different. And, there's not space really in this world for a lot of people. And I don't necessarily feel like I have the most space in this world now. But I do feel like I have more than I did before that, I guess, shall we say, tower moment began. And I just wonder if there are ways that that's playing out in your life as well, and how we can extrapolate that to a larger scale. It's really scary to imagine a new world. It's really scary to imagine society in a different form. It feels impossible. And so people, they know that they don't like, making money for somebody else, for them to get a small fraction of it. They know they're exhausted. They know that the horrible things happening in the world just don't have to be happening, shouldn't be happening. There's literally no reason for them other than, a handful of people's desires. And, they absolutely don't want the world to be happening, the world to be the way that it is. But then when faced with small individual choices that would eventually add up to everybody living differently, those choices sometimes take a little bit of bravery. They sometimes take you being the only one in the room making that choice, or you being a little bit uncomfortable for a while, or you not having as much money, or not having the thing you want for a while, or maybe, like, not looking as cool, or, like, there's so many things. It's different for everybody. What their Achilles heel in this situation ultimately is. But, like, it's really scary to imagine, like, okay, well, better the devil than than the unknown, right? Is I think a lot of people's perspective on the issue, but that's not how we get anywhere, right? And, I get that. There was, like, it was, like, based around a relationship, unsurprisingly, what happened to me. And, like, I walked away from that being like the first couple weeks, I was like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Like, I'm free. I wanted it for so long, and things, when you're changing your life, things don't all perfectly fall into place immediately. It's like, it all kind of clunks in one brick by brick, right? And so it's like, it's gotten hard in moments where, it's easy to lose sight of, like, that something is on the other side. And so you start to want to run back to the thing It wasn't good. You weren't happy there, but at least you know it. At least it's familiar and you know how to navigate it. And, like, it's really tempting. It's really tempting. That is not how we get to our Ten of Pentacles, though. As a society, as a collective unconscious, growth is painful, expansion is painful, change is painful, and uncertainty is fucking terrifying. And it's so much easier to just stick with what you know, and especially when all of society is set up to draw you back in, to be like, no, just stop trying so hard. Just, come lay down, come sit down, come watch this, do this. And it's like, it's not saying don't don't engage in society or don't engage in distractions at all, because like they're very useful sometimes. You gotta rest sometimes, but like you have to be aware of what it all is. So this is why I say, with a completely different context, what could you be capable of? Because you have to frame it that way. You can't frame it like everything's new, everything's different. I'm scared. I don't have a routine here. I don't know how to function in this place. I don't know anything. And again, this is not coming from a place of me being better. I literally just spent the last 2 weeks in a completely new part of town that I don't know at all, like panicking, because all my routines were ruined, and all of the places I normally go are literally like an hour away from me now, and all of the people I know are gone, or not accessible at the moment. And so it's hard to, it's hard to be strong in those situations, but I think that we're all very capable of it. And I think there's something really beautiful on the other side. Like the Wheel of Fortune and the Ten of Pentacles would indicate that that is true. Let the wheel carry you over. Let the wheel carry you out of bullshit and into a more abundant time for all of us. I was shuffling while talking. The Fool fell out. So, really just kind of confirmation of everything I've been saying. Like, the Fool is exciting, right? Like, it's a fresh start. It's the new beginning we've all been waiting for. It's the new beginning we all want and sense and all that. However, the other thing to think about in the Fool always is, like, it's called the Fool for a reason, right? And, like, people try to rebrand it. And I don't, like, honestly, the Fool is not, I don't know why people ever rebrand the Fool. It's not like, okay, people have their own visions. I'm being too critical probably, but I think it's, like, really aptly named because, like, foolishness is not necessarily, it's not anything to be ashamed of. But it is, like, you're going to make mistakes. It's going to be clumsy. We're not going to immediately, like, you're not going to immediately feel perfectly aligned. You're not going to immediately feel like an expert in something that you just began. And so I think the Fool is a really good sign here, and kind of really, really reiterates what I was saying about this new context. You will feel foolish. You'll feel like you're fucking it all. I gotta stop. You'll feel like you're messing it all up. You'll feel like you're you'll feel like you're failing a lot of the times, but you're just not. That's new. That's the learning process. That's how we get to something new. We're not going to be experts at this new world. None of us have done it before. None of us have been there before. It's a completely new way of living and handling our life. We're not worried about being the smartest person in the room, even though you very well may be. It just doesn't matter anymore. You're worried about being the most loving person in the room, is the goal here. That's just like, obviously that's translate to whatever your specific situation is, just like the energy, right? So, there is, like, let's not forget this started out with the Five of Swords. There's a bit of a battle still. There's a little bit of conflict, both inner and outer, I'm sure, to get to this new era. And I mean, again, both on a personal and global scale, microcosm, macrocosm, it's important to keep that childlike wonder, that Fool energy of, like, the beginner's mind, right? You you need to have hope and enthusiasm for what comes after the strife, because no doubt there will be a strife. There will be strife moving from one era to the next, moving from one way of being to the next, like on a scale in your life. You know, at least in my experience, when you try to change the entire way that you exist, or when you try to change like a pretty foundational way that you see things and operate in your perspective, like people who have known you for a long time will push back, unless they themselves are really in a huge like change mindset, because you changing means something has to change for them too. And that's kind of what's so important about all this, right? Like, there's a ripple effect from all of us. Every personal choice that we make, every way that we show up for people, every single way that we decide to respond to every situation ripples out from us. And that's how change happens. That's why all of your small actions do actually matter and amount to bigger things. And like, not in a way to freak you out, because like you can't be hyper vigilant and get like stuck in freeze because you're worried about affecting the world. But there's going to be pushback. There's going to be pushback when you're completely changing your life, when you're completely changing the world. Both. And, or even just, you know, changing a part of your life. Like, this doesn't have to be like, you know, a whole remake of everything that you're doing, but it will feel that way a lot of times if you do shift your perspective from something so intellectually and logically driven to something so heart-driven, right? So mind-driven to so heart-driven. So, again, I was shuffling again while I was talking, and I split the deck to, I've split the deck multiple times. Like, I just have been kind of like fidgeting with the cards and shuffling them while I was talking, to help my brain work. And I kept splitting it on the Ten of Cups, like so many different times. Like, I'd shuffle, split it on the Ten of Cups. Oh, geez. The World and the Star just fell out too. I'm not going to pull those yet, but like, they literally just like fell out together while I was just talking as well. So some really big energies here. We've currently got the Ten of Swords, the Wheel of Fortune, which is also the Ten of Cups, and the Ten of Pentacles out. It's the ending of it's a really big transition point. Tens are about endings of cycles, right? And the Ten of Cups coming out while I was talking about like emotional aspects of this and conflict aspects is interesting to me, because it's like, it's really reaffirming that, like, yeah, the fight, it's what I've been saying, you know, the conflict, the battle, the push through is going to be worth it, because it's just any fear, any anxiety you're feeling right now, whether it's about your own personal situation or on a bigger scale, like, it's all so valid, and you should feel it. You should feel through it and work through it and feel all of that, so that you're not bottling it up, so you can actually like show up properly. But it is not in vain. Like, and obviously smaller situations, there's a scale, like smaller situations tend to resolve a little bit more quickly and easily. Bigger things, like global scale things, are going to take a while. It's not like I'm saying we're going to wake up tomorrow and like capitalism will be over and then by next week we'll all be happy. That's not really what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that this learning period, this feeling foolish, this not knowing what to do, this uncertainty, this feeling clumsy and like even misunderstood. The Fool can be a bit misunderstood by those around them, because a lot of, especially like if they're around other people that are not in that headspace, like that's where like fool derogatory comes from. Like, that's who calls people a fool in a derogatory sense, you know? So it's not it's worth going through it, though. It's just the most fulfilling cards in the entire deck are both here in regard to turning this wheel and a new start. And, like, this new era that we're all stepping into together and individually. It's just, there's really no two ways about it. The only way to get to these things is to take risks like that. Especially, like, the only way for us to get there as a society is for everyone to take this risk, ultimately. Or at least, like, such a vast majority of people that the rest don't matter. It needs to be, like, billions of people, right? So it's like, you've got nothing to lose. Like, if you just look around you, you've got nothing to lose. We're all losing it anyhow. It's all being taken from us. We talk about it constantly. I see people talking about it in a bunch of different words. You know, it's like enshittification, or like just, you know, in housing markets and job markets, and like the cost of food, and just like the cost of living in general. It's like, and subscription services replacing physical media, and like this giant pushback I've been seeing lately against those types of things, and against just like the internet at large. It's like, we're all feeling it. We're all feeling it. People just want to be able to tangibly hold something. And I don't mean, like, I did say tangibly hold. I don't mean that in the most literal sense, though. Like, people just want something to feel certain, something to feel theirs, and nothing is ours anymore. That it's by design, and they're making it worse and worse all the time. Like, they being, you know, it's not like, you know, I don't even need to get into details because it is a lot of different things, but it's like not even deniable at this point. Like, yes, it's governments, it's like rich people, it's billionaires, it's anybody who's been like convinced to like fight on that side for those people as well. It's just, it's like every single angle, they're taking everything from us. So what have you got to lose? Nothing. Absolutely nothing, because you're not going to have it soon anyhow, because look around you. And if all of those other things don't get us, like, look at the weather. You know, I'm not trying to cause fear, but like, you know, we have to shift. Everything is shifting. The planet we live on, the climate we live in is shifting. I don't think everyone's going to die. Climate change is obviously terrifying. And it's not going to be without its casualties. But I'm not such a pessimist that I'm like, oh, humanity is over because of this. That's not, like, we've been alive for thousands of years. There will be people who survive. What is concerning to me is who survives, right? And we still have a lot of chances to shift that. Like, as it stands, the narrative that billionaires and the powerful people on this planet want us to believe is that, you know, it's going to be them. They've got their bunkers, you know. I don't give a shit about a bunker, you know. I don't need a bunker. Like, maybe I personally do. I don't know. I'm not like the strongest person, but that's not really my point. There are not only going to be people in bunkers. There's going to be people that survive from every walk of life, in every area of the world, in the most wild ways. Life finds a way. Life always finds a way. And so, that's why I say, everything is still in our power if we are willing to take the risks. And I mean this on a smaller scale as well. Like, perhaps, let me just try to think of an example. Within a friend group, there's somebody who's a domineering kind of ringleader type. I think that we've all been in friend groups where this structure existed, or someone tried to make this structure exist at some point in our life. And you see what they're doing. Other people don't necessarily see what they're doing. But you feel like you could probably get at least a couple of people on your side. You could probably help at least maybe the more observant people in the group notice or see. But in reality, you're going to piss people off. Like, there's going to be people that don't see and think you're just trying to sow discontent. Just think you're trying to be a contrarian. They may accuse you of being jealous or threatened by that person. They may... It could come in all forms of personal attacks, financial attacks, anything. Like, people act bizarrely when the person they've been following is attacked. It's that whole, like, crowd mentality and weird loyalty thing, right? Is it worth saying something so that perhaps at least those couple other observant people can make it out with you and you can keep those connections and you can keep connected to that truth rather than just leaving it? And the ways that might even play into your head. If you never talk to other people who could have been witnessing what's going on about what went on, you've got no external confirmation of that. And, like, yes, obviously you should trust your own internal guidance above all else, but, like, when it comes to social matters, like, a little bit of external input is important too, for you to not be, like, just completely blind and narcissistic. You're going to cause a rift. You're going to probably not be friends with everyone, or even maybe most of the people at the end, but will you not have a much higher quality connection with the people who do end up sticking by you? Yes, you will. And if you don't have anyone that sticks by you, then you know you were not meant to be there. You know that that wasn't working. And, you know, sometimes even in our walking away, you illuminate things for people. Maybe you won't see the effect that you had. You have to be okay with also not necessarily getting accolades. The recognition will be in the world, in the way that your life is different. It's not going to be someone coming up to you and patting you on the back and being like, that was a good call. I mean, it might sometimes be that, and that's great when it is. We all love that. Again, we're social creatures. There's nothing wrong with wanting, like, validation from other humans, but it can't be the only thing that matters to the ways that you act. Because that is why we are all stuck in this loop on a smaller scale and on a larger global scale. This is why our relations between each other are the way they are. There's this entire framework dictating the way humans should be interacting with each other. And, like, yes, there are a lot of cultural differences and things like that, but that's actually kind of part of the issue as well. There used to be a lot more of those. Capitalism and globalization is creating a monolith where one way of interacting and one way of existing is all that's right, and they're trying to spread that further and further and further to more and more people. So, and that's not abundant for anyone. That's not any sort of 10 of cups or 10 of pentacles for anyone except for, like, 5,000 people on the whole planet. So I don't think I want to take that path. I don't think anybody else should want to either. I think that we're all worth so much more than that. I'm going to see if there's any last cards that want to come out. But I feel like this has been pretty... What do we got here? The Six of Cups, the Moon, and the Four of Wands. Maybe unclear right now. But the path is revealing itself. There is a lot of celebration at the end of it. A lot of love, a lot of joy, a lot of sharing of happy memories and celebrating once we get to the end. There's a lot of mystery around exactly how it's all going to play out and where it's going to go, but you're absolutely on the right path. We as a society, we as humans, not as a society, I want to correct that. The vast majority of humans on this planet are on the right path. We're on a path towards liberation and empathy and love. with this Six of Cups, and like just happy family. And I don't mean like blood family necessarily, just global family. I have such a contentious relationship with the word family, but family in the most loving, truest sense that it's meant to be, the family the way it was intended. Yeah. So I don't think I'm gonna dig deeper into that. I feel like that was a pretty, like, really nice bookend to this reading. Nice way to tie it up in a little bow. And so yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. I hope this helped, and have a nice day.